I was, really opposed to going into Iraq because I felt like the reasoning that George W. Bush was giving us was absolute bullshit. And it was turning out exactly the way I felt in the first place. I mean, we went in because he had a personal vendetta against Saddam Hussein, and because I think there's a few reasons. That's one of the reasons. The other reason, of course, is oil. Mm-hmm. And then another big reason is because he's not a very good president as far as the economy goes. During a time of war, a country backs their president. He'll keep the approval ratings up.
His approval rating's at 59% now.
Well, now it is. But I think his whole theory is, if you're always in a fucking fight, the country is going to back the president because they become patriotic.
Well, we already won, right? I already saw that. We won a couple times, so I didn't realize the war was still happening, but apparently, it is. I mean, it's obviously an awful thing. I mean, Chris has family in the military, and when we play in Europe, there's people from the military sometimes coming to the shows. And, I think it's really sad that it's still happening. There's no end in sight, and now everybody's just forgotten about it. Maybe we have to wait until the next presidential election for anybody to remind Middle America that there is still a war happening.
Yeah, I mean, now, like with the war with Hezbollah and Israel and Syria and Iran, and I mean, it's just, where's the diplomacy? That's all I have to say. It's like, where is, what good old Jimmy Carter used to do, where's the person that just goes straight to the Middle East and just starts talking and trying to get people to meet and have diplomacy? It's just, when you just watch the news and it's just bodies piled upon bodies, on both sides, it's just wrong all the way around, and there's got to be some way for, I wish we had an administration that could have gone in there and at least with some other world leaders and shown some just willingness to sit down and talk and try to show some kind of, I don't know what, be less passive, I guess. It just feels like in the newest part of this war, like Bush just is like, he's like, I don't know what to do, so let me veto the stem cell bill. It's like, well, okay.
Oh, it's devastating war, It has been since its inception. The Middle East is a tinderbox. You can't go in there with your shock and awe war policy and not expect to completely unbalance the whole region, and that's exactly what's happened. There was absolutely no foresight. I mean, we didn't learn anything from Britain going in there and taking over Iraq as well, all those many years ago. Just not learning from history, not having any foresight, just that sort of like pro-American to the detriment of the rest of the world in there. So it's just, the policies are just unbelievable. And I just feel, I mean, for those people who, getting rounded up and shot in the streets, and families and generations torn apart by a senseless war. I mean, it's so diabolical to me, it's hard to talk about. It's incomprehensible. And you got a smug president who's still defending it at all costs, and it's a hard time to be American.
I have a problem because I don't believe in war. And actually, I think it was Howard Zinn, or it was Noam Chomsky who said, did you notice that once it became clear that if European countries fought against each other, they'd obliterate each other, that Europeans stopped having wars with each other? It's sort of like we're so aggressive with each other until we realize that global extermination could be at stake, and then we are somehow able to rein it in. But if it's some situation in which our country is just using its massive might to pummel another country, somehow that's called a war, and that's fine. I think that war is weighted towards the industrial military complex, and so no one wins, and it's unnecessary. So that's my ground feeling. And then this war, I knew from the start that this wasn't a war I supported. So.
It's an extremely unpopular war. It's obvious. Not many people like war. Yeah.
I think the sense of like the public cleavage within the far right, like the people who feel like even the administration has bankrupted their conservative vision, is kind of interesting, and I think that's shaking up what used to be a monolithic and patriotic face, and now people are saying that, wow, even the Republican Party is split about this strategy or lack of strategy, and a lot of people are really tired of the rhetoric and the lack of answers. So I think that's also strengthening the left and anyone that gives a damn about humanity.
And also, people get real upset when their relatives are dying for something that they don't understand.
We found out that the U.S. military ordered more ministry records from Warner Brothers we were on at the time, because that's what broke the Iraqi prisoners first. Sleep deprivation and blaring loud ministry music at them for hundreds of hours at a time. They would wig out. And at first, you know, I thought that was kind of funny. Then I really just thought, this is disgusting. War is hell, and I really don't want to be a part of this. And it's really made me anti-war, not anti-aggressive music, but anti-using it as a tool of torture.
How do I feel about the war? I think Stun feels that if you look at, there's $900 billion being spent on weapons in the world. You could put everybody in school, could give every AIDS victim medicine, and half of it, $450 billion, is the U.S. Iraq spent .0015 on weaponry, and yet we need to go to war with them. Also, North Korea was openly making still alive, but a bunch of innocent people are dead.
And more U.S. troops are dying now than they were when the so-called war was going on, and now it's supposedly over, but more people have died now.
It's pathetic.
We see a lot of the kids because we play in a lot of military towns, and we're actually, that's like kind of our bread and butter. We have like a high energy show, so we appeal to a lot of those military towns. And I mean, as far as the kids themselves, like they're just like you and me. They're just like people that's what they chose to do, and they chose to protect it. So we respect that. We respect their choice. You know what I mean? And we like the energy they bring to our shows. You know, but you know, as far as our views on the war, we don't let that, you know, interfere with making new fans.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I think it's been way too long, and people are dying every single day, and the war's supposed to be over, and it's not clearly over.
Yeah, man, mission accomplished. It's done. What war, man? It's been over. Brought democracy to a foreign country that didn't ask for it.
Oh, well, we're fucked forever. I mean, once we're in, I see us being there for 20 fucking years.
The thing that was really wanted from the start has been, actually the mission has been accomplished. The contracts for the oil companies have been signed.
Halliburton got a sweet deal.
Exactly. So in a sense, when Bush says mission accomplished, he's not even lying. His mission has
record profits for the big boy.
So how do you guys feel about the war right now?
I think it sucks balls. The same as we've always felt. It's the worst thing ever.
Bush and Blair had a meeting, and there was a memo of the meeting that said that no matter what comes out of Iraq, we're going to invade, because that's what we're going to do. We're not going to let the facts get in the way of a good invasion.
Certainly, the war that exists right now is certainly one that exists because of economics. I don't think anybody should be fooled into thinking anything other. If Saddam Hussein was over in the middle of Africa where there were no oil fields, you know, I don't think the U.S. government would be messing with him, no matter how much he acted like Hitler or whatever, you know. Having a strong foothold in the Middle East is certainly a vested interest of our government, you know.
I've just never in my life felt so alienated from my government since, I mean, I just feel, I hate that war. I think it's complete insanity.